Let me record it. Awesome. So it is day 3 and I'm super pumped. Let's talk about some things that have came up though. What are some things that you guys are noticing that are coming up, whether that is good, bad, nightmares, headaches, triggers? What's been cooking in your guys' neighborhoods for the last 2 days?
I know after I did my timeline, when I went to bed, I was like breathing heavy and I even took some intercom and trying to relax, like I was telling Karen, because right in the timeline, it made me relive the trauma.
Yeah. Made you think about some things that you didn't want to think about. Yeah.
Some stuff that happened like 30 something years ago. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And that honestly just means that you still have to heal from it. So the more we talk about our traumas, like we can absolutely start to like have those memories coming up to where, right, we're going to be breathing a little bit heavier. We're going to get triggered. But by us talking about it, it makes it real. Because when we stopped talking about it, we almost turned it into like a story that like no longer exists, even though we know it existed. And by us forcing ourselves to talk about it, yes, it's re-triggering you, but it's also making it a little less heavier to where you'll get to a point where you're going to hear the story and it's no longer going to impact you. Right. And like, that's ultimately where we want you to be, is not necessarily forgetting the things that have happened to you, but becoming in like almost becoming one with them. Right. To the point where they no longer are serving a negative purpose in your life. And we're going to talk about all of that today. I have some exciting little nuggets that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, but let's dive into reconstructing all of the things we've been embracing. I do kind of want this interactive for those of you that are watching it on Facebook. Drop it in the chat and we will get you guys going too. But for my lovely people on Zoom with me, is anyone comfortable talking about one of their limiting beliefs or themes that have came up during their timeline and kind of showing what this exercise would look like, reconstructing your beliefs to your affirmations?
Okay, let me go real quickly because I'm at work real quick.
Okay,
for the kids talk too much. What came up for me is we live in. Go get it from the cafeteria. Okay.
You're okay.
Okay, well, is a point of, and sometimes it's still bothering me now, if not as I would say it would be my skin tone. I believe it that and thinking holding me back about being too dark. I'm not light skinned and my hair is not this way. And that's something that had again kind of hold me back, kind of hold me back, or in the belief of I'm not pretty enough or I'm not there. So I think that's one limited that has been holding me still, and I'm 55, still hold me back.
Yeah. And where did that belief stem from? Has someone in your life ever told you that you weren't enough or you weren't pretty enough, or like where did that belief stem from or come from?
I think the belief came from, when being young and like my grandmother, loved all her grandkids, but it seemed like attention that the other one got more attention.
Yeah, right. So the attention maybe wasn't given to you.
Yeah. And it wasn't given to me, and then as I got older, like dating and stuff like that, it seemed that the guys were going more for the light skin and the one with the long hair, like that. So it kind of stand to that, and then go back to like getting a little more to the point that I was good enough to sleep with, but I wasn't good enough to take out to dinner.
Yeah.
And that happened. And it was like that for many years. And I came to almost accept it. That was good enough to, but not good enough to go out the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So that is the truth behind the limiting belief, ultimately. Right. So the way we break it down is step one is you identify your limiting belief, which for Rhonda was she's not pretty enough, right? She's not worthy of being anything less than, right? And then number two is identifying the truth. Where does that belief come from? Right? So that belief came from her experiences of everyone choosing the lighter skinned girl, right? People chose individuals who had longer hair, right? Those are her experiences. So those are validated, whether that experience is different for someone else, right? So that's her truth. Number three is saying it in an I am statement, right? So your limiting belief, Rhonda, is that you're not worthy, you're less than, things like that. Okay. What I want you to do, if you could do that, if you are in a place where you can talk right now, is say, I am that, and then your limiting belief statement. So you would say, I am that, and then I believe that, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And then I'll tell you what step 4 is in a second. So go ahead and unmute yourself and say that for me.
Okay, I would say, can you repeat that?
Yeah.
I am
So
supposed to say,
I am that, and then you say the limiting belief. So your limiting belief go ahead.
My limiting belief is I'm too dark.
Okay, so you will say, I am that, I am too dark. It's gonna sound grammatically incorrect, but yeah. So say that, and then Karen and Jason, I'm gonna bring you guys in on a second.
I am too dark.
Okay. Jason and Karen, with hearing Rhonda say, I am that, I am too dark, how did that make you guys feel hearing that out loud?
When she came out and said, I am too dark, I heard it and it didn't affect me when the words came out of her mouth when I heard it.
That's okay. Yeah. Karen, what about you?
To me, honestly, like what comes to my mind is I feel like to me it's like, is that the first thing that comes is like, is that really something that's bad? Because you're freaking beautiful. Like, is that something wrong?
Yeah.
And in general, like, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So, right. So everybody interprets it that different, right? For Jason, he's like, I heard it, but like, it doesn't really do nothing for me. Karen is more like, well, wait a minute. Like, it's more than just skin color, right? And so that is ultimately telling you, Rhonda, that like that statement is false, right? Because someone else was able to tell you like, well, no, you're way more than just a skin color, right? So now what I want you to do is go home tonight and think of the truth, right? Because is it true that individuals aren't going to take you out to dinner? No, you're married, right? So that statement no longer serves you because you're living proof that that is incorrect, right? So your affirmation statement has to be something that like is a full body F yes, to where every time you say that, it makes you want to go like do jumping jacks and have firecrackers going off in your head, right? So your affirmation could look like something like, I used to believe that my skin color defined who I was, but I have a kick-ass marriage. I have 3 beautiful kids, and that statement no longer serves a purpose in my life. And you will continue to say that every single day until that is no longer a belief in your head. I'm proud of you. All right, Jason, let's go, bud. What is your limiting belief?
And I guess one of my limiting beliefs, and it's been like up and down, but I've had battled it, but it comes up sometime, is my weight. Since elementary school to college, I've always been overweight. Um, I actually lost some weight when I got into doing the Weight Watchers, and that kind of has helped a lot. But I would say the limited belief is still that uncomfortable feeling of being overweight or being heavy through my whole life. It's been like that, and being joked on and being kind of being hurt when people like Mamba in the background, oh, you're too big, or you have a big behind and stuff like that. It just, I hear those things in the background. It's really has been very hurtful in my past, and it hurts a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And so what I want you to do is think about, where did that come from? Right? So why is it that you're letting, like, almost like your weight dictate who you are, right? Like your weight is giving you confidence or lack of. So try to find out, like, where, like, my question for you is, where did that stem from? Right? So you mentioned getting laughed at in middle school and things like that. Were there any other events other than getting bullied that made you feel like your weight is the reason for your confidence or lack of?
I guess maybe another part would be maybe just physical perspective of when you're doing something, like in a physical perspective, when you're running or doing like gym work, PE, or just activities, and you know that you're out of breath and you have to walk, and other people are running and doing other things that you want to see yourself doing too. It's like you see other people jumping over obstacles and all these other things, and you're like, man, I wish I could do that too. But because of the weight, that's it. It does trigger the kind of like a hurtful feeling. Like I wish I could do that too.
Yeah, right? So comparing yourself to someone else's abilities. And we're going to talk about that after this, because it's almost going to what Rhonda was doing too, right? Comparing herself.
Yes.
But your thing is weight and physical abilities. Hers was skin tone, right? So how is that no longer serving you today?
I would say it's not serving me today because I feel like I have a little bit more confidence in myself when it comes to, I'm not worrying about other people's, if they talk, I'm not worrying about it as much. I am also, I know that I've been somewhat productive in the life because I am like a group X instructor for 24 Hour Fitness. So I got myself into a perspective of more confidence that I can do something about this. I just got to work hard on it, and I have more confidence on it as of right now.
I love that. And ultimately, like, that's where we all have to be, right? Like, our confidence is coming from our efforts, right? That's discipline. And so
Yes.
that is the truth, right? It's not your weight. It's not how much you weigh, right? It's the effort you're putting into your life to be a better you.
Yes.
That is what breeds confidence. So your affirmation, and this is what I want you to think about when you get home, like, what would your affirmation be? Right? What, since you can talk, what do you think your affirmation would be or can be?
Can be. I would say maybe an idea. I mean, there might be other people on here that might have a better idea than I have, and I'm an open book. If you have something else that, from what I'm sharing, that might be better than what I might put together. But I would say I am strong. I am a strong-minded individual that can take criticism, can take
Yeah.
criticism and keep on moving.
And your weight does not define that.
That exactly. And my
Mhm.
weight doesn't define that. That last
Yeah.
part is true.
Yeah. And so that's your affirmation. So every day you're going to continue to tell yourself that until you no longer care about your weight. Right? So
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Karen,
Yeah.
did you want to go, Hunter? Or you're like, nope, I'm not doing it.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Sure. Of course. That's why I'm here.
All right, gorgeous. What is your
Okay.
limiting belief?
I would say, it's always been like, I don't have enough experience, because I feel like right after, literally like after getting out of beauty school, I worked in 2 jobs, and from there, I am a stay-at-home mom. So I think like from there, that was something where it got me thinking very, like, oh, I'm done. Like, this is it. So
Yeah.
I would say like I don't have enough experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And where does that truth come from? Right? So it goes beyond just beauty school. Did someone ever tell you that like this is what dictates a certain amount of experience, or like where do you think that limiting belief truly came from?
Yeah, I would say something in the past that was that has been told to me, that was told. But I wouldn't know. Like I remember my dad always telling me like, oh, you can only do one thing. Like you have to concentrate on one thing, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So your parents told you like you have to become a master at one thing, right? You can't do all the things. You have to do that one thing. And that's where you get your experience from, right? So does that stem for you today? Like, is that true for you today? Does that even make sense for today?
It does not.
Right?
It does not at all.
Right? We have multi-passionate people with all different types of experience, right?
Yeah.
So clearly, all of the experience makes you more experienced, right? Because now you're versatile. You're actually more valuable, right? So what is going to be your new affirmation?
I would say I have enough experience at many things in my life because I am valuable. I'm not sure. Is that right?
Yes, let's fix the wording a little bit. So, like all the experience, right? So all the experience you've had gained throughout life makes you more valuable of a person rather than you just focusing on one thing.
Rather than
focusing on just one thing.
Okay.
Right? And that actually makes you a better mom too, because now you can teach your kids so many different lessons.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so that's going to be your affirmation. Say it every day until you memorize that.
Thank you.
I love it. All right, guys. So I want to talk to you guys real quick about some amazing nuggets that I want you guys to start thinking of, right? So in the beginning of today, I talked about how you guys necessarily have to become like 2 to 1, right? We have to embrace our traumas. And that is because trauma is true, right? So the things I'm going to share with you today are literally the reasons why I am so passionate, why you should be so passionate about mental health, but also like how we can truly emerge and embrace and experience our mental health journey and how it will actually work for you. So like I said, trauma is true, right? And there's 3 knowledge in the world, right? So we're going to go back to what Karen was saying with her experiences, right? So there's 3 actual ways to gain knowledge through experience. The first one is mathematical knowledge, right? 1 + 1 = 2. That's like logic, reasoning, things like that. The second one is science, right? So basic research. You're going to do the things you believe will work to get a result. And if that result can be repeated, then it's validated and it's true, right? So science. The third way to get knowledge is personal experience, right? So the easiest way to explain personal experience is literally your everyday. Everything you do is a personal experience. Okay. Now, some personal experiences, they can't be proven, right? So the question I get a lot is, how do you make your trauma journey so effortless, right? Why does it look so easy for you? Mental health isn't even real. I get that one a lot too. People say mental health is not real, right? Because that's their experience. But you can absolutely prove that based off of the other ways to get knowledge, right? So I'm going to bring it in on a way for you to really like wrap your minds around it. A kiss. I'm assuming everybody on this call right now has experienced a kiss in life in some way, shape, or form, right? A kiss is personal. The way I interpret a kiss is going to be different than the way Jason and Karen and Rhonda interpret kisses, right? However, you can turn that kiss into a mathematical and a science way of getting knowledge, right? The logical way to explain a kiss is that it's 2 people emerging their lips, sharing microbiomes and carbon monoxide, and increasing their oxytocin levels so that they can then have intimate connection, right? Like that's the science and logical way to explain a kiss. Now, if you're on a romantic date night and your partner is like, hey, Karen, let's join our lips together and share our microbiomes and carbon monoxide, and we're going to increase our oxytocin levels. Are you down? Like, Karen's going to be like, bro, what the hell? Like, no, I'm turned off. Like, get away from me. Right? Because the kiss is personal. You can't, like, yes, I can logically explain it for someone to like prove it wrong. But like at the end of the day, like it takes away the personal experience. Because even with the logical, mathematical, scientific way to explain it, she's still going to have a different physical feeling and personal experience in the way if I was to do that exact same equation. And like, that's the same thing with trauma, right? So if you look at it from a mental health trauma point of view, you have an experience that changes your neural pathways and changes your brain chemistry to shrink your certain frontal cortexes. And then you're forever changed personality wise. Like that's the science behind it. Trauma literally shrinks your brain and now your personality's changed forever. But if certain areas of my brain are more shrunk than Karen's because I've had more trauma than Karen, our personal experiences are still different. Right? So even if Rhonda and I were in this same place together and something was to happen to both of us at the exact same time, she's going to interpret it a lot different than I am because we have 2 different walks of life. So ultimately, like it's true. Right? Like trauma isn't something that you can fake. And anyone who tells you different, like you need to look at them like they're weird. Okay. So the personal aspect of it is what's ultimately going to like give you that validation of what you're doing is accurate. Now, the second thing is that we're all broken people. Right? And that's not a bad thing. We think that just because we're broken and we had adversity and we've done really hard things that we're not valuable anymore. But that's false. Right? If I was to give Jason a perfect, crisp, fresh printed $100 bill, he's going to be like, this is a $100 bill, clean or not. Now, if I take that same $100 bill, rub it in the street, put some mud on it, and then give it back to him, it's still a $100 bill, no matter how dirty it is. Right? Now, let's say I take that dollar bill, crumple it up, maybe rip it, put a tape on it to make it whole again, and then give it to him. Like, it's still a $100 bill. You don't lose value just because it got dirty or broken or ripped in half or all the things. So why is it that we believe that if we get a little bit dirty and we get a little bit broken, that we're not valuable anymore? Right? We have these expectations for ourselves, and sometimes our expectations are so high that we can't forgive ourselves for anything. But ultimately, we do have to forgive ourselves. Right? So the last 2 days, I've been talking about how we are future creatures. The Webster definition of expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. You're expecting someone to do something in the future. Right? So those expectations we have for us, they're future driven, but they're just not realistic because of the limiting beliefs you have. Right? So we have to be able to know that, like, no matter where you go, those expectations almost have to turn into inspirations. Right? I expect myself to be happy in the future. Well, no, you can't expect yourself to be happy. Like, that's not realistic. You can inspire to be happy. You can try every day to be happier than you were the day before. Like, that'll save you from the room of like being disappointed. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so another thing is like, based off of all of our experiences, right? So the one Rhonda, Karen, and Jason shared today, we try to drown it out, right? Whether that's drowning it with substances, drowning it with spending and shopping therapy, drowning it in alcohol, drowning it in friends, because that's another really good distraction, food, right? Trying to drown everything out. But we, in fact, should be embracing it. By you drowning things out and not wanting to deal with them is actually making you worse. Whereas if you embrace it and emerge into it, now it becomes a part of you. Right? So your trauma makes you valuable because it adds extra experience to your life. Just like what we were telling Karen earlier. Right? None of you guys would want to see a therapist or a counselor who has never experienced some form of mental health or trauma. Right? Like, would you want a doctor or a surgeon to be like, Karen, I'm going to do an open heart surgery on you today, but I have never done one before. Right? Karen's going to be like, can you get me a more seasoned doctor? Right? It's the same thing. So by us having all of these challenges and adversities, like, we're learning lessons through the experiences to make us more valuable, because now we can teach our friends and we can help other people heal by healing ourselves based on all the knowledge we've gained in our experiences. Right? So going back to day one about how your trauma has a purpose. Right? Mental health and trauma literally stems from you not being able to forgive yourself. I would be out of business if everyone in this world just knew how to forgive. Because that's where mental health stems from. I can't forgive so-and-so because they should have never done this. Oh, I'm guilty because I did this. Oh, I'm depressed now because I should be doing this. But if we just gave ourselves a little grace, like, a lot of the mental health problems we have wouldn't be a problem. We'd be able to manage it. Right? And we ultimately have to go back to being kids. Right? So I always talk about how we have to reparent ourselves, and it's true. What do we always tell kids? Oh, you have your whole world ahead of you. You're so valuable. You're so smart. Like, I absolutely love you. You're going to do great things in this world. The kid could be dumb as a brick and you would still be like, oh my gosh, Junior, like, I have so high expectations for you. You're going to kill it, right? You're going to be the next president. Because we never know what that child is capable of doing. But why is it that we stop telling ourselves that? We stop telling us how much we are actually lovable. We stop telling ourselves that we can actually follow our dreams. Right? Kids are limitless. They're fearless. But our parents have put us into boxes so that we can be safe. So now it's our turn to take over the reins and to become limitless and fearless, just like with children. And that is when trauma healing is actually going to start to work. It starts to work because you start to believe in yourself. Yeah, we have to stop because of fear, right? So right now, all of you guys are living with fear in your driver's seat. But why is fear driving your life? Right? Think about it in a car. If you're driving with blinders on or with a blindfold on, you're going to crash into everything. And that's what you guys are doing right now. You guys are walking into your mental health journey with blindfolds on, being blinded of what's possible, to where if you came in with an open mind to actually believe and see what could be, those expectations will start to decrease. Right? So only you can actually heal yourself. I can't heal you. I can't fix you. But you can. All you have to do is start forgiving yourself for everything in your life. Do I forgive the people who physically and sexually abused me? Absolutely not. But I forgive myself. Because at one point I blamed myself for putting myself in the situation or doing whatever. We always blame ourselves for something happening, even if it's not even about us. So I had to forgive myself. Once I forgave myself, that they did not matter. Right? So we love to make other people feel loved. Right? We have a friend and that person is like, oh my gosh, do you know Joe? Yeah, I love Joe. He's amazing. Like, we go way back and blah, 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 blah. But why is it that you can't be that same person for you? Why is it that you can't hype yourself up like people be hyping up Kobe and Jordan? Right? We have to have crushes on ourselves. We have to love ourselves so much that you're like, yeah, I know Jason, like I'm amazing and blah, blah, blah. Right? But some of us battle with the fact that we actually have to embrace who we are, flaws and all, right? We actually have to love our ugly and love our good. There's like 3 types of people in this life. There's one person that is like, you know what? My higher best version of myself is going to be locked in the cabinet. I know it's there, but I'm not ready to see it yet. So I'm just locking it away for whenever I'm ready. Then the second person is the person who half-asses it. I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be happy. I want to heal, but I don't want to do the work to get there. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. I just want it to be easier. Why is it so effortless? Like, I just can't do this no more. Right? Those are the people that are trying to look for the quick fixes. Then there's the third person. The third person literally lets their higher self take over their entire well-being. And that takes a lifetime. But these are the people that are like, you know what? I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to imagine it. And I don't know how long it's going to take me to actually become 100% my higher power, but I'm going to do it no matter what it takes. right? I got a question today from one of my one-on-one trauma clients, and they were like, how do you make trauma, like you make trauma healing look so effortless? Like you have no problems. I laughed. I was like, I have all the problems. But also like my very first therapy session was at 6 years old. And they diagnosed me with separation anxiety. Like I've had my entire life, 20 years of being in and out of therapy and getting treatment and diagnoses and all the things. Like, it's not that I just woke up one day and it's like, you know what? I'm going to be the best person. Like I literally have been working on my mental health since I was 6 years old. So it's not effortless. And for those of you that know me, know that I still have every single day having internal battles. But because I've been working on myself for 20 years, in and out of different therapy, investing thousands and thousands of dollars to not settle, my hard days are a lot easier than when they were. Right? There are days where I pay for a therapist and a counselor before I pay my bills. Like that's how invested I am. And that's not to brag, but that's to show you guys that like that question my client asked me was irrelevant. He was comparing himself to my 20 years to his 3 months. Right? And that's where we get caught up. Kind of like what Jason was saying, like comparison. We compare our day 1 chapter to someone chapter 50. When we should just be focusing on ourselves. Am I better than the person I was the day before? If you can answer yes, you're doing everything right. Right? So if you have that tug on your heart to want to get better, if you have that tug on your heart from your higher best self, you need to open the door. Right? If you had friends that came to your house and they knocked and you didn't answer, those friends would probably just be like, oh, they're not home, I'm leaving. Your best self is never going to leave you. It'll keep knocking. But one day, you're not going to be able to hear the knock anymore. So if you keep having that tug to want to get better before you actually like absolutely give up. Because it'll be a lot harder trying to come back when you have no hope than trying to fight and maintain hope while you still have it. So with all that being said, guys, you have officially completed Dig Deep. I'm super, super proud of all of you. And I would love to answer any questions, comments, concerns you guys have before I let you guys go. Just going through the chat real quick.
Just want to say thank you, Cheyenne. Like I said, whatever you do, you be selling dog food. I'm gonna jump in and support you and learn something new. Love you from day one. So good.
Thank you, Rhonda.
I've been telling everybody about the thing, and you know, I love you since day one. So, like I said, you can be selling dog food or whatever, and I will be in there.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Any other questions, guys?
I do have, actually, I wrote something
Yeah.
I want to share. Was one of the, I guess the homework that you asked was one of the questions you said, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to share with you what I wrote down. And if we have a little time, maybe you can kind of embrace what I wrote down.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to share it now?
Yeah, I can, if that's possible.
Awesome. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. The question you asked from yesterday from the homework, how did I get here? And this is what I said. I get here from having low self-esteem for myself, sometimes believing what people say about me, believing the lies that put me down. I think the big thing is always having that fear of really speaking out when someone hurts my feelings. I really bite my tongue and don't say a word. I really am a people pleaser. I say sorry a lot.
Mm.
And that's how I left it.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you're aware of that. So here is what I'm challenging you with, right? So people pleasing, having to always say sorry, all of those stem from childhood traumas, right? Feeling like you're not worthy, feeling like you shouldn't be here, comparing yourselves, right? So all of that is why we feel like we have to overcompensate to please people, right? If I just do the right thing, they're going to notice me, right? So my challenge for you, Jason, is you're aware of it now, right? So stop saying sorry, right? Things you should never say sorry for are your emotions. Never apologize for feeling angry, sad, hurt, upset, crying, whatever. I get that a lot. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm crying. Stop apologizing. Feel the feelings. You give yourself permission, right? The second one is don't say sorry for setting boundaries. I'm so sorry, but like, I don't want you to talk to me like that. Like, no, why are you saying sorry? Right? Don't say sorry for setting boundaries. Don't say sorry for self-caring. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just need to like take some time to relax. No, if you need to take some time to relax. Right? So don't say sorry for feelings. Don't say sorry for boundaries. Don't say sorry for self-care. Only say sorry if you actually did something wrong. Right? If you didn't do nothing wrong, you have nothing to say sorry for. Right? So that's your first challenge. Don't apologize. Catch yourself, slap yourself, have a rubber band where you zap yourself. Don't apologize for things you shouldn't be apologizing for. The second one is only do things that please you. Be a people pleaser towards yourself. Right? Okay. So we know you can please people because you do it for others, but now it's time to start pleasing you. Right? Life should be ecstasy feeling. Right? You should always have like that euphoric like need for desire. If you guys are lacking that, that's because you're not pleasing yourself. Right? So a lot of times people use substances so that they can escape reality. Right? I need a drink so that I can be more fun. No, you don't need to be more fun. You're just putting the walls down and giving you a reason to be fun, but that fun side is still in you. Right? So what are the things that bring you desire? And once you start to actually do the things that bring you pleasure and bring you desire and like follow your passion, your life is going to forever be a high to where life is going to be your drug. You're not going to need substances because you can give yourself your own feeling. Right? So start pleasing yourself. Do the things you want to do before you put other people's needs before your own, because you cannot take care of yourself or you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself first.
I agree 100%. I believe that's similar to like on an airplane when they do that safety precaution, when they always tell you to put your thing on first before you put on someone else.
Yep. Put your oxygen mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for this. Thank you very much for this 3-day workshop that you put together. And I hope that you continue doing it maybe gradually in other time periods. But if you do it again, I'm definitely on it. You definitely helped me a lot. So thank you very, very much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. I'm so proud of all of you guys for joining in and committing to these 3 days. I know it wasn't easy. Some of you guys were at work. Some of you guys have kids in the backgrounds, but super grateful for you guys as well. Any other questions before I let you gorgeous souls go? Check the chat real quick. No, all good. All right, guys. Well, happy Thursday, and I will let you guys go. And the group chat is still open, so the Facebook group will still be open. I don't really know when I'm gonna close it. We'll see how energy goes. But if you guys have any breakthroughs or aha moments or things start to come up, put them in the chat. or message me privately and we can work through it together. So I love you guys and let's go kick some ass.
Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.